This morning, if we're to believe the morning press, Kemi Badenoch has come out in response to Farage, but it is a masterclass in missing the moment. What we should be witnessing is a political mutilation. What we're witnessing is a political mutation. And the Conservative Party wants the most ruthlessly adaptive election-winning machine in British history is not merely losing votes, it is hemorrhaging them, and the tourniquet is in the hands of Kemi Badenoch, who appears unable or unwilling to use it. Why we should ask the question, why are Badenoch's attacks on Nigel Farage so utterly ineffective? Her lack of ideological clarity and political dexterity, why this is this the reason that she is rendered impotent against a populist insurgency? And I suppose we should ask who truly bears responsibility for the Conservative collapse: Badenoch, Johnson, or Farage himself? So the uncomfortable truth for the Conservatives is that Nigel Farage is simply reclaiming what he lent them. He lent them his votes in 2019, and the Johnsonian landslide as a result was delivered in no small part by Farage standing down Reform candidates in Tory-held seats. It was not a conversion to conservatism, but a temporary lease of electoral real estate. Now, as polls show, Reform running at 30 to 31% and the Conservatives floundering below 18%, that coalition has returned to its true landlord. Farage has not persuaded people to switch. He has reminded them that they left in the first place. Immigration, national identity, cultural traditionalism, all served with the pugnacious clarity and the lack of concern for fiscal arithmetic. In contrast, Badenoch's attacks on Farage as a peddler of fantasy economics fall flat for one simple reason: they come from a politician who has not articulated any economics of her own. She has no plan, she has no platform, she simply has sound bites. And Farage is better at sound bites than she is. So what is Kemi Badenoch for? She is a sort of stopgap, I presume, until somebody better comes along. But by the time somebody better comes along, she will have done so much damage, it probably cannot be undone. If you think back to the damage done by Liz Truss, barely a month, and it took Rishi Sunak an entire term of office to try even slightly to move back to the position that the Conservatives and the government was in before Liz Truss's disastrous month. Kemi Badenoch has been in position for longer. It's astonishing that someone leading a major political party can't answer questions about what she's doing with any precision. She offers sound bites, not a strategy, a flurry of half-hearted salvos against Labour, Farage and occasionally the weather, while failing to frame a coherent vision of post-defeat conservatism. Her most recent article in the Daily Mail accused both Labour and Reform of wanting struggling taxpayers to fund unlimited child support for others. It's meant to be damaging, it's meant to be damning, yet it collapses under its own vagueness. The criticism is scattergun, neither forensic nor philosophical. It's just words. And we can all do those. Meanwhile, Farage paints vivid pictures. He uses words as well, but he does it better. British mothers encouraged to have children so we no longer rely on immigrants. It's simplistic and it's probably unworkable, but it's at least an idea, however noxious. Badenoch offers only a shrug wrapped in austerity. She says, I'm not chasing polls. But if she's not chasing polls, she needs to be leading opinion. And to do that, she needs to present more than hollow caution dressed up as courage. There is a Conservative case to be made, not just against the expansion of the welfare state, but for a society where the state is supportive, not suffocating. Kemi Badenoch gestures at this, then retreats into managerial caution. She should be challenging Farage from the right and the left, asking whether state-sponsored natalism is a form of authoritarianism, whether his promises to give more than Labour, to put lots of women into Labour literally, are just populism in red, white and blue ties. But she doesn't. Instead, we're treated to petulant realism, not political leadership. This is not Thatcherite audacity. This is defeatism disguised as dignity. So who is responsible for the death spiral of the Conservatives? Boris Johnson brought the party a landslide and then squandered goodwill with scandal, laziness and contempt for rule-bound governance. Nigel Farage fractured the coalition he once helped to build, but only after the Conservatives betrayed it by delivering neither border control nor national confidence. Kemi Badenoch inherited the wreckage and seems content to simply admire the ruins. Badenoch is not to blame for the collapse, but she is entirely to blame for her inability to arrest it and deal with that collapse, which is not in and of itself fatal. The fatal blow is her sticking around and demonstrating her inadequacy. Her lack of political nous, her lack of strategic imagination, her lack of rhetorical bite have allowed Farage to define the Conservative crisis on his own terms. Polls now show the Conservatives as fourth behind Labour, Reform and even the Lib Dems. This is not an electoral wobble, it's an extinction event, and for that, Badenoch should take responsibility. And yet she persists with platitudes about not reacting to polls, about fighting every seat, while conceding the narrative. She opens the door to local pacts with Reform one week and then slams it shut the next. The result is not tactical ambiguity, but strategic incoherence. If Kemi Badenoch was serious about turning this around, she would do four things. She would articulate a philosophical vision rooted in liberty, responsibility and restraint, a modern vision of what the Conservative Party could do. Burke on wheels. She would then frame reform as offering big promises but small results. The saloon bar solutions of men who have never governed. People with a pint. She would stop attacking Farage and start contrasting herself with him. This is what he says, and this is what I do. And four, above all, she would write and deliver a serious speech, not in the Daily Mail, but on the floor of the community centre or the town hall. What defines conservatism? What conservatism is for, and rather than what it's not. But she won't, because she doesn't know how and she doesn't know what. The problem is not the empty lectern, it's the empty head. In politics, the absence of an argument is an argument. And Kemi Badenoch is rapidly becoming an empty lectern without ambition, an empty platform with nothing to say. Nigel Farage, for all his defects, is speaking to a cultural and emotional truth many voters feel. Nigel Farage is best positioned to define modern nihilism, which he calls Reform UK. But we've seen it before. It is nihilism. It is a philosophy defined by the negative. And Badenoch should be there to present the positive. It's actually very simple. And she is too stupid, too lazy, or too incompetent to be able to articulate it. What I don't understand is if she can't do it, she should have one of her spads, one of her advisors, draft something that she can learn and deliver. But she doesn't. So to the accusations against Badenoch of incompetence and laziness and stupidity, I would add arrogance. If Farage becomes Prime Minister, it will not be because he was uniquely persuasive, but because no one else, neither Starmer nor Badenoch, had the imagination to stop him, and the ability, and the audacity, and the humility to rely on others to help them. There are plenty of people around there to help Starmer and to help Badenoch. They only need to be asked.